What's going on, everyone? So, lots of talk, lots of just rumors and speculation in regard to the Lakers acquiring Zach Lavine or DeMar DeRozan via trade. Now, Zach Lavine is on the trade block. Chicago is a sinking ship, and they are sinking fast. So, more likely than not, the Chicago Bulls are going to unload one, if not both of these guys. Zach Lavine is the first domino to fall, right? Like, if they trade Zach Lavine, then it's going to be a fire sale. I don't see them trading Zach Lavine and then just kind of building with what they have left over, right? DeMar DeRozan is a free agent after this year. They're going to want to get something for him. They're not going to want to lose him for nothing. So the Lakers are going to be in prime position to acquire either of these guys. Now, both of these guys provide a lot of what the Lakers need. A consistent go-to scorer, a guy that can hit shots down the stretch, over-the-top shooting, just guys that can put the ball in the hoop, right? That's what the Lakers need. Now, neither of these guys are great defensive players. DeMar DeRozan's been a little better than Zach Lavine, but still, none of these guys are going to be locking down defensively. Also, age range, right? Zach Lavine makes a little more sense for the long term than a DeMar DeRozan does, because DeMar's 34, Zach Lavine is 28. But in the same breath, DeMar DeRozan has been a model of consistency and health, where Zach Lavine, he's been a bit of an injury-prone guy. Although the last few years he's played a solid amount of games, but he has knee injuries, knee concerns. He's very reliant on his athleticism, where DeMar DeRozan, even into his late 30s, probably could be very effective. DeMar DeRozan is also a lot cheaper. He's like nearly 2/3 of the price of a Zach Lavine, like where what it would take you to trade for Zach Lavine, the Lakers could get DeMar and other pieces for and continue to upgrade the roster. But beyond like the salaries and stuff like that, because with the cap spike coming in like a year and a half or whatever, Zach Lavine's contract would be a little more serviceable, a little bit more digestible. He's not a $40 million a year player, but you can kind of get away with that with the cap spike. Still, it's tough to swallow his contract. Now, as far as playing wise goes, Zach Lavine is a lot more dynamic. He's getting more athletic, can provide better rim pressure going downhill. He's a guy that can do a lot of what the same things DeMar DeRozan can do, as far as like just hitting shots, shooting over the top. Zach Lavine has been also the better three-point shooter, although this year, DeMar DeRozan has been very comparable. Neither of these guys are playing great this year, but I also think a lot of that is Chicago's sinking ship. Both of these guys know the time is coming to an end. I just think frustrations are piling up. I think there's a combination of things that go into their struggles thus far this season. But Zach Lavine is, again, the more dynamic player, where DeMar DeRozan, I think, is the more constant player. He's the more consistent guy. I think he's the guy that you know what to expect. He's the guy that'll give you basically stability. Like Zach Lavine is also the bigger upside guy, right? Either of these guys can go off and give you 50. But Zach Lavine, with his just athleticism and giving us an athletic guard, I think just adds more potential upside for the Lakers. But DeMar DeRozan, I think you'll know what to get every single night, where Zach Lavine at times can be a bit inconsistent, although his inconsistencies aren't like Reeves and D'Lo's inconsistencies, right? Like Lavine, even on a bad night, will still give you, 18 points or something like that. But DeMar, I kind of lean towards, but I don't think you can go wrong either way with either of these guys. Now, no trade is happening until very likely the middle of January for not just the Lakers, but any team. And Chicago's probably in their best interest to wait as long as possible, just to kind of see if maybe something opens up, maybe a team has a significant injury and they're like, okay, well, maybe we should trade for Lavine or DeMar and to kind of weather this. And then if that guy returns, we kind of figure it out. A lot could happen between now and the trade deadline. But we got a report the other day from Jovan Buha. Well, not a report, it was kind of an interview. And Jovan Buha talked about how the Lakers are actually interested in DeMar DeRozan and Alex Caruso. Now, this wasn't like they don't want Lavine type thing. This is kind of felt like more of his opinion rather than a straightforward, like, I have sources that told me this. It sounded more of like, I feel like, just judging off of like the conversations and stuff like that he has, that they're leaning more towards a Alex Caruso and DeMar DeRozan. Now, look, I've talked about this. I think the best package that the Lakers could get from the Chicago Bulls is DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso, and Andre Drummond. And they could get all three of those guys for the same price as Zach Lavine, right? And especially because the Lakers are going to have to very likely give up several pieces. You're looking at a D'Angelo Russell and a Rui Hachimura, or an Austin Reeves and a Rui Hachimura. If you're trading just for a DeMar DeRozan, then you can kind of be creative and do several things. But the Lakers are very limited on draft picks. The Lakers only have one first-round pick, and then they could do like a swap and then a couple seconds, but they don't have this like treasure trove of draft picks that they can include to go get some of these guys. However, I don't think either Zach Lavine or DeMar DeRozan is going to command a ton of assets in return. Zach Lavine is a very specific player that not every team in the league could use and would look to go trade for. Plus his salary, $40 million. Not every team in the league can trade for him. And then DeMar DeRozan, he's a free agent after this year. So how many teams are going to be interested in risking to go get him? Not just that, but how many teams are looking at him as the missing piece? And then with his age being 34, like you might be able to get DeMar DeRozan for basically pennies on the dollar. Which would be very valuable for the Lakers, and then going and trying to get an Alex Caruso. However, I think it's going to be very difficult for the Lakers to get Alex Caruso. I mean, there are reports that Alex Caruso already has the highest demand and callers as far as trade partners go, because I mean, he's a guy that every team in the league could trade for, and every team in the league could benefit from Alex Caruso. So Alex Caruso is like the perfect fit for basically every team in the league, and every team in the league could trade for him. So that's something else as well. So if there's a bidding war for Caruso, then I have my concerns about the Lakers getting him. But I have said, and I still stand by, I think the only way you're going to get Alex Caruso is to do a trade to where you're getting a DeMar DeRozan, because then at that point, instead of supplementing or providing draft picks, you could supplement that with some of your young guys. Right, so you could do like a Rui Hachimura and like a D'Lo or something, and then throw in like a Jalen Hood-Schifino and a Maxwell Lewis. And it's like, okay, well, you just got, two guys, or maybe you're throwing in a Max Christie. So it's like, okay, we're giving you Max Christie, we're giving you Jalen Hood-Schifino, and then we're giving you a first-round pick, and then you give us DeMar Caruso and Andre Drummond. Something like that, right? That's kind of how I see them being able to negotiate that, because there will be a team that is like a contending team that knows like, hey, we're trying to win an NBA championship here. Our draft pick is going to be like the 25th pick in the draft, and we're probably not going to play that guy for the next like 5 years anyway. So unload it, go trade it, and go get a guy like Alex Caruso. So I do think Chicago would get a first for Caruso. It's not going to be a great first. Like, they're not going to get a lottery pick or anything like that for Caruso, but I could definitely see a team kind of ponying up to get a Caruso. Again, I think this is the best trade. I also think DeMar DeRozan, yes, there are concerns about like the floor spacing and stuff that people have, but look, there's more to floor spacing than just shooting threes. And DeMar DeRozan is a guy that can knock down the occasional three, but also is just very crafty and would make it so you couldn't just double AD and run the defensive sets that a lot of these teams are running against the Lakers. So then that would also open up more, and DeMar DeRozan can make plays for others. He's also the veteran guy, and I think he'd be the most willing to kind of fit in and adjust to like whatever he has to do to fit with the Lakers, where I think a Zach Lavine, he believes he's a top dog in this league. He's making $40 million a year. There's been questions about his his personality and just his mental at times, right? His attitude. So I don't think you'd have those issues with DeMar. Plus, DeMar wants to be a Laker, so you'll re-sign him, and you'll probably re-sign him for relatively cheap. On top of that, right, I think he still provides a lot of the same stuff that Lavine does. He's not as dynamic and explosive as Lavine can be, but he's still a guy that go give you 50 on any given night. And that's ultimately what the Lakers need. So I do, again, really lean heavily towards DeMar DeRozan. I'm fine with either, right? Like if the Lakers trade for Zach Lavine, I'm not going to be like, no, what are the Lakers doing? I'm going to be pumped, right? I'm going to be pumped either way. And like I said, I think the upside is better with Lavine. So to me, it kind of comes down to like, would you rather have the upside potential or would you rather have like the consistent potential where it's like, okay, you know what you're going to get. I think either of the two guys make the Lakers a legit threat and wouldn't be shocked if they're hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of the year. But Zach Lavine, I think because he's so athletic, because he can just provide better rim pressure and stuff like that, which the Lakers don't have, just that guard that can just blow by the defense, create contact, get to the foul line, stuff like that. I think, there is an argument to be made for Lavine. Injury concerns, his salary, right? Like, what is it going to take to get him compared to DeMar DeRozan, which, again, I think you can make an argument you shouldn't even have to give up a first for DeMar. It should be as simple, like, especially if you're not getting like a Caruso or anything, right? If you're just trading for DeMar DeRozan straight up, like, again, he's a free agent after next year. He's 34 years old, right? Like, what are you going to get for DeMar DeRozan, right? Take a Jalen Hood-Schifino and a Maxwell Lewis. Now you got two young guys, and we'll give you like a Rui Hachimura or something. So you got like a solid wing that can score and kind of do a lot of the same stuff that DeMar does, right? Like that's kind of like my thoughts on DeMar as well. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think that the Lakers should prioritize DeMar DeRozan and Alex Caruso? Do you think, like, no, you got to go get Zach Lavine? Is there any one specific that you prefer over the other? Again, however you feel, however your thoughts are, I'd love to hear them. So let me know down in the comments below.